Well, Christmas is around the corner, which means we are in holiday season mode. For whatever reason, though, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, those two holidays, they always remind me of Pixar movies. I guess because Disney and Pixar have been known for releasing their movies around the holidays. It makes sense. So I thought it would give me a great excuse today to talk about my all time favorite Pixar movie, The Incredibles, and my all time least favorite Pixar movie, Incredibles 2. So today we're discussing how The Incredibles went from incredible to terrible. You know what's funny? Brad Bird stated that he would never make an Incredibles sequel unless he thought the script was just as good, if not better, than the original Incredibles. Funny how that works out. It's wild. I always wanted to see my favorite characters from childhood return on the big screen years after their last appearance. It's all because of nostalgia. Nostalgia is something that Disney has been riding on for a long time now. Sadly, in my opinion, that led to the demise of multiple characters Disney owns, including Obi-Wan Kenobi, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Indiana Jones, the Toy Story franchise, among many other things, as well as content they haven't touched yet, like the beloved X-Men and Fantastic Four characters, which I'm sure they'll get their hands dirty with eventually when they do decide to open that box. If you go back to the years 2005 up until 2017, I myself would have said I still want an Incredibles 2 and that I was very excited for this movie. It was my most anticipated movie of 2018. I could not wait for this movie's release. But looking back, that was a mistake. I don't know why I thought it would be a great idea to have an Incredibles sequel, because why would you touch something as special as that first Incredibles movie? It is one of the most nostalgic pieces of entertainment content of my entire lifetime. And for some reason, I just wanted a sequel so bad. And it makes sense. The movie's great. I thought they had a real shot at making this a great movie trilogy one day, just like they did with the Toy Story trilogy. The first Incredibles movie is the best Pixar movie and my favorite animated film ever made, partly because I have memories of seeing it in theaters and falling in love with the story at age 7, and also because it's one of the most mature animated movies. This film tackles themes like death, parenthood, and letting the past die. Pair these with a family of supers who must keep their powers a secret along with an understandable villain, and you have a masterpiece on your hands. There's a reason why people love the first Incredibles movie so much to this day. It's plain and simple. The characters are great, the voice acting is top notch, there's so much relatability, the action is as clean as it gets for animation in the 2000s, there are plenty of dark moments, it's one of the funniest Pixar movies, it has an enormous blockbuster scale, and the score leaves nothing to be desired. It is a perfect movie from beginning to end. That then brings us to Incredibles 2. Now there are three major problems with the second Incredibles movie. First and foremost, Elastigirl. Secondly, Mr. Incredible. And finally, Jack. I want to say Mrs. Incredible is a great character, but the movie's central story is weak in comparison to the original. Unfortunately, for a character who's so good, she's made the central hero in a story that's as forgettable as just about the worst animated movies ever made. Beyond the family dynamic, nothing remotely resembling the first movie returns here in its original form. If anything, it's an exact replica of the original movie, except it's created in less than stellar fashion. Both the parents and kids go through the same character arcs. Why are we doing this for the second movie in a row? You have repeated lines like Frozone, this is Elastigirl, I'm in, and hit the button, not yet. Plus you have some similar set pieces, like this train action sequence for instance. What blows my mind though is how Elastigirl is picked over Frozone and Mr. Incredible to go on the first set of missions, despite the fact that we never even get a legit reason as to why these billionaires chose to pick her over those two. They never say one thing about why she would be perfect for this job over Frozen or Mr. Incredible. The villain is lackluster too. You have these siblings, a male and a female. The male is a billionaire, except they never explain how he became a billionaire. And then you have his sister who, oh my goodness, I never saw that coming. She is the main villain called the Screenslaver, but it's the most obvious, predictable plot twist ever written in any movie. Just from watching the trailers, I knew one of these two was going to be the villain. So that's Mrs. Incredible's story. What about Mr. Incredible? Well, he doesn't have much to do. He takes a back seat in the second film. He just hangs at home with the kids. He helps Dash with his math homework. Violet is having boy troubles, so he comforts her, and then he discovers that Jack has not just one, but multiple superpowers. Long story short, he barely does anything in this movie. And when you intertwine this with a completely forgettable side story between Violet and her love interest from the end of the first movie, Tony Ridinger, the film becomes noticeably dull and boring. But wait a minute, I can't forget about the movie's star character. That's right, Jack. He's actually, if you think about it, the second main character in Incredibles 2. Well, whoever thought making a baby who can't talk the second main character in Incredibles 2, I hope you got fired after this movie was released. It's so enjoyable watching this story unfold when Jack is fighting a raccoon in the backyard. Actually, the first Incredibles movie is ruined for me now because we don't have this amazing fight sequence between the raccoon and Jack. Why did they wait until 2018 to have a Pixar movie where we see a baby versus a raccoon? I mean, it is only the most important piece of cinema in any Pixar movie ever. So it just blows my mind that they waited so long and didn't even have it in the first Incredibles movie to begin with. Why wasn't it in the first movie, Brad Bird? Clearly, it's a great 3-minute scene that was so valuable to this movie's story. What's sad though is I like the first 10 minutes of Incredibles 2. You start the second movie, the moment the first movie ends, it's very nostalgic. Everything having to do with the Underminer is great. It brought me back to my childhood. But then they make a vital mistake the moment they tell us that superheroes are still illegal. They're pissed at the Incredibles for getting involved with the Underminer, and they tell them these buildings the Underminer destroyed were covered by insurance, so there was no reason for them to fight against him. Although that makes no sense because I'm pretty sure the Underminer killed a lot of people when he attacked the city, and if the Incredibles didn't get involved, more people would have died. So whether it's the storyline with Mrs. Incredible, Mr. Incredible, or Jack, or really anything bad that comes to mind in this movie, Incredibles 2 is one of the worst sequels of all time, in my opinion. There's nothing worth noting good about Incredibles 2. I don't know what they were thinking or where they went wrong. I'm really disillusioned that Brad Bird thought it'd be a great idea to make a second Incredibles movie and then greenlight this script, which I think needed several more drafts before it was officially greenlit. So nothing here makes sense. It doesn't work as a sequel. It never should have been made, and it gives me even more proof as to why movies and TV shows from our childhood should never be touched again. So what do you guys think of Incredibles 2, and how does it compare to the first Incredibles movie in your opinion? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down below in the comment section. Like I said, I think this is one of the all-time worst sequels in cinematic history, not just animated history. And of course, as always, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you all next time.